Celtic nil, St Mirren 2.
Yep.
Absolutely. Gotta pick my words carefully, huh? Very turgid display by Celtic. There you go. That's the nicest way I can say it. We can start it off with what happened with the starting lineup. Too many changes. A lot of people are saying in the comments. St Mirren, for me, the way they did it was they got their style of play into the game and kept the game playing on their terms the whole match. So I'll give some credit to them. But yeah, Sean, what was your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it wasn't just a defeat for us, it was a defeat for football. St Mirren did have a very specific game plan that they executed perfectly. And when was the last time they played a game? They've basically been preparing for that for 2 weeks straight, with doing nothing else in the training ground other than getting ready for us. And we were really poor. We were a bit better second half, but I mean, that's a relative statement, and we could hardly have got any worse, to be honest. All the chances I've got written down here was like all headers, which is interesting as well. If you, we weren't getting any shots away. They were either the shots that we were getting away were either tame straight at the keeper over the bar. Yeah, just bad, man. But Welsh and Jens disappointing. Like, and not just for the defending at the goals, but like just stuff like high balls in the middle of the pitch and the header was going to St Mirren players, stuff like that. Like the second ball from headers was always going to a St Mirren player. It was like they had extra players on the pitch in the middle. Obviously they didn't, but that's just what it felt like.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's yeah, bit of a tough one. I've got a few comments here we'll bring up. So Pierre O'Neill bullied all over the park. Yeah, that, and also another comment from them that reminded me of second half. Bit of Lennon ball reminded me of his last season at the club. Barry McCluskey, a perfect storm of circumstances. We never recovered from a poor first half team selection, and we couldn't deal with the negative tactics of St Mirren. Gary McLeod, although the score is a bit of a surprise, it's a lack of clear-cut chances that will be a real shock. Well, your take on any of those comments?
Yeah, and there was another one and I saw coming up as well about St Mirren blocking off the channels. And again, that was something I'd said at the halftime show, was that in the first 5 minutes, we went away from that really quickly. We weren't playing our game. We gave up on that real quick, and St Mirren were well drilled to deal with it. Haksabanovic came on and he had some clever passes, but again, like there was just a lot of bodies in there at that point. Once it got to 2-0, St Mirren just left their two big boys up the pitch and then just kind of had everyone else in a low block. So, yeah, obviously the reason we lost was because we were poor and they were good and executed their game plan perfectly. And you just, as a Celtic fan, there's a layer of frustration on top of that with the gamesmanship as well. Which is what teams try to do against us every week, but usually we're 1-0 up inside 16 minutes and they don't really get a chance to do it. But yeah, it was frustrating as well as disappointing.
Yeah, I have to agree with we're going to have to see this. Like, there's some questions here. Will Ange take responsibility for his team selections? And
I'm going to push back on that. The players that went out were poor, but none of us had the problem before the game. Like, nobody was calling it before the game. Not one person in the comments that I saw anyway.
Like, we're going to win 5, 6, 7-0.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So that's funny. Like, then you get Homer. Yeah, saying only true Celtic fans will praise the team today. Only plastic fans will criticise. I don't see the point of that comment. Like, at the end of the day, we're all entitled to our opinion.
Well, look, if you want, we can praise the team for going 364 days without a league defeat. And then it failed today. So I checked it up. It was the Livingston game was 19th of September last year, and we're now on the 18th of September this year. So that's 1 day shy of a calendar year without defeat. So that's a big achievement. What was it, 37 games undefeated? I believe, Jared, you may be able to correct me on this one or not, but I believe we the last time when Ange went 35 unbeaten, you think he didn't win for the next 5 games or something like that afterwards, or was it 5
Can't,
defeats?
can't remember that, to be honest with you.
I'm sure that won't happen, but that's because I remember when somebody was interviewing Ange and asking him about the 35 game unbeaten run, and he said he'd lost the 5 that followed it. But obviously, we're not expecting that. But yeah, it's disappointing.
Yep. John, what was your thoughts on the game?
I thought it was just one of those games. I think we played poorly. I think St Mirren got their tactics pretty much spot on. I think we had an off game. I think we're entitled to have off games sometimes. I don't think it's an absolute disaster. I think we played pretty bad, but we lose some. But it's all about winning more than we lose. So we're still top of the league. We're still 2 points ahead of them. So I think that's all that really matters right now. It's really hard to pick apart players which have been doing so well for so long. Their form have been exceptional for such a long, extended period of time. I think the international break is going to be good for us. To be honest, I think this loss will dwell on them for the 2 week, whatever it is. Which hopefully that will teach them some lessons about falling asleep and stuff, and not focusing every time you're playing a game and stuff. It will really dwell on them for a while. So maybe that'll be the thing that we just need. Sometimes Celtic does that. Sometimes we've lost just before I don't know, just after Christmas or whatever, and that's all of a sudden the next half of the season and their Celtic is unbelievable. So hopefully something like that happens. But yeah, overall, thought we did pretty poor, but it's an off game.
I've got written down here that their goalkeeper didn't make a save until the 60-minute mark. So I think that kind of says it really. And that wasn't even a good save. That was a save for the cameras where the shot was so tame that he was just trying to kill time by falling on it. Which they did a lot of. To be fair. The ref really let them go for it with the time wasting.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, to be honest. That's our game that's been broadcast all over the UK and around the world, and that's what the referees are letting players get up to. It's not really much of an advert for football. And did you reckon that Mark O'Hara challenge was a red card? I believe Ismail Soro got sent off for the exact same thing last week. And what was it, France he plays in just now?
He's in Portugal, but
Portugal. That's what I was saying.
In Scotland, come on now. Let's. All I'm going to say, Sean, is let's not discuss the refereeing.
No, I'm just saying standards. I know it's not.
I know what you're saying, but
yeah.
Okay, we've won. We've gone 364 days without a league defeat. If we start talking about that should have been a red card or that should have been play on and the referee doing this, people are going to be like, oh, sour grapes, look at these guys having a sook online. And that's not what it's about. At the end of the day, I'm going to give credit where it's due. We played like absolute rubbish.
Yeah.
We're beaten by the better team. Robinson got his tactics right. His team put those tactics into place on the field, and off we went. And they basically controlled the game.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's anything to do with the result. I'm just saying it's like a standards thing. Do you know what I mean? The result was absolutely nothing to do with the referee today. Zero to do with him. It was all about St Mirren being the better team and us being poor.
I think it's also we should mention the positives. I think all of the subs that came on made a positive impact. I think we were definitely lackluster until certain Haksabanovic I think played very well. I thought Giacomakis played good when he came on. All the subs kind of definitely made an impact. Obviously, not the amount of impact that we wanted, but I think they definitely built something. And then maybe if it had 90 minutes, that'd have been slightly different. But I thought all the subs and the timing of the subs was pretty good. So yeah, credit there, I guess, as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, I think they were showing a replay of I think the Sky feed or whatever was going through a replay of the second St Mirren goal to highlight that it was offside, and I was like, okay,
it
doesn't matter. You still lose 1-0 anyway, even if it's chopped off.
They showed that angle. and his foot looked like it was offside. But then when you look at where the ball's flicked on, like, and the angle of the camera, you can't tell unless you got VAR and you've got lines. You're not going to be able
Oh, yeah,
to
of
tell.
course.
So
And nobody's claiming for it.
at the end of the day,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that would be the normal one. If that was your team that scored it and it was chalked off, you'd be furious. So I really, at the end of the day, like, we just didn't play well enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe Haksabanovic was actually, I think he had an interview this week where he was saying something about we had to maintain focus or otherwise we'll be punished. And like he's been right, like this came true. And we were always going to lose at some point. It happened to be today. Hopefully we don't get banned from doing the podcast now that we're a curse.
Hey, last time I was for a match day, it was 9-0 against Dundee United. So
Yeah.
the other.
This is my first ACSOM, so maybe it's me. Who knows?
It's John's a curse.
Yeah.
Nah, it's
last year we lost in the fight to Livingston just before the international break, and we came back from those 2 weeks absolutely flying. So I'm hoping we can do the same this time around.
All right, let's try and fish through these comments, see if it's a bit of a cesspit or whatever, and bring up some things here. So here we go. So we got Mirren have been outstanding. Celtic were disgraceful.
I think disgraceful was harsh. I think poor. We were very poor.
Yeah.
We were.
Andrew Galea was no one stepped up to take control of the game. That's the sort of a game where a couple of years ago when you had a Bruni in the midfield, that's where he would have taken the game by the scruff of the neck.
I thought there was one point at 1-0, like just before St Mirren scored, and McGregor did do that. Like he picks up the ball and starts driving forward with it, and we didn't create a chance out of it. But that was something like that I noticed that Moy had never done once in the first half, and I was like, oh, cool, we're at it now, and and then we're 2-0 down a minute later. So it's
is what it is, I guess.
We've got another comment. It's humbling. Take it on the chin. For whatever reason, no one was over a 5 out of 10. It happens. Give credit where it's due. St Mirren were organised and strong. I think we've said that.
Yeah.
I thought Ralston was maybe a 6 out of 10. So I thought he got a couple of good tackles in, did well with Curtis Mainboy, but I think that's probably about it, really.
Celtic man, 1888, really bad result. No energy in the first half with no service to Kyogo. Second half, we made the changes but weren't up for the fight. Very poor defending all game. What do you reckon about that one?
Yep,
definitely poor defending.
Yeah. I mean, there were both goals should have been easily defendable. It was bad positioning, bad tracking back. Yeah, just
Jens should not be getting beat in the air for that from Curtis Main at that second goal, and McGregor's header, which is straight up in there, that puts him under pressure, that should be going anywhere else. That's a dodgy header. And the first goal. The thing is, the first goal, who's at fault there? That's the midfielder that needs to track the run right. That's not a back four's fault.
Yeah.
So
somebody should be putting a block on that run. I'm going to assume it was Aaron Moy since he was the closest player that was at fault, but I don't actually know if it was his responsibility or not. I don't know that.
Yeah,
but
we never had the wide angle, did we, to see who's? But yeah, I agree. Could have been Moy.
Yeah, there was a lot of long balls going up the pitch, and Jens. Yes, I've just seen a comment there. Yeah, Jens was not doing a good job, and I actually thought he was a bit shaky on Wednesday night as well. So I'm a little down on him at the moment, and
that was the thing we were talking about on our pod, Sean, where when he was at at Fulham under Peter Grant, they said that Jens needed to toughen up. That's why he was glad that he went, instead of playing junior, that he went overseas and started playing against men. Like, that was a common theme of him coming through juniors. They weren't sure if he'd be a defensive midfielder or a centre back.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not saying that I'm not going to tarnish him with it, because then he gets labelled, that's his problem, in the same way that, Starfelt got labelled a bomb scare last year, and Boyata got the same label. I don't want any of that. So a couple more comments here. Dermot Celtic Rabbito, we played not up to our standards and wasted ball in the first half. Hopefully we don't lose another league game for 364 days. We're still on top.
Yep. That's still on top of the league, looking down on the Sevco.
Douglas McPherson. Now Ange has to pick them up, and he'll go and do that. We've got Grace. Anyone wanting Ange out needs their head read. There's a few idiots in the comments saying that who have a bunch of Union Jacks after it. That says it all. There you go. Last big unbeaten run was ended in a 4-0 defeat. It happens eventually.
Yeah, and you kind of, it's not just that you feel like it's never going to, I mean, you feel like you're never going to get beat when you go in one of these runs.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so massive when it does happen. Like, if you think back to like a year ago when we did lose 1-0 to Livingston, we were all just like, oh, whatever. Yeah, okay. Like, that wasn't too unexpected kind of thing. Whatever, and now we're like, this is a huge defeat. But it's the first time we've lost a league game in just under a year. So, like, that's amazing.
It is.
Like,
and Sean, you mentioned about the first goal and it was a midfielder didn't track the run. There it is. Moy not tracking back on the first goal.
Yeah. And again, I don't even think, because like obviously Moy's not going to win the header, but you don't have to win a header to defend.
No.
Like, you just block the run. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't give them a free run. Like, I'm not very good at heading a ball, but when I'm defending a corner, I just make sure I'm absolutely tight on the guy so he can't get a jump on me. And then they'll never score if you can do that. Like, it just stops them, even if you're not winning the header. But you had an absolute free run on it and just nailed it. Joe Hart hadn't made a save to that point. In fact, did Joe Hart make a save all game?
I don't think. Yeah. Well, he made that kind of weird left hand save thing.
Was it punch from across?
Yeah, it was a weird one. Oh, from the corner was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a punch in the corner. Yeah, it was. But I've not got anything written down. I've got him written down as taking a throw in. But I've not got written down anything about him making a save. I don't remember him making a save, to be totally honest with you.
So we got this comment here, just a small example that we're still a work in progress. These things happen. It was a team loss. End of.
Yeah, I think that's the important sentiment for everyone to have. Right, is we are still a work in progress. It was a bit of a reality check, not a reality check. Maybe that's too harsh. It was a bit of humbling for us. I think a lot of us assumed this was just going to be. I think that St Mirren were going to get a pump in, and it just wasn't quite the case, was it? It was, if anything, it was a bit embarrassing for us today. But it was going to happen. Even the best, like Real Madrid lost against Sheriff in the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? Stuff happens. Weird things happen, and
let's call it what it is. It's humbling and like something you can really channel. And there's a lot of players here that just aren't used to this, and we could bottle it. Just say, remember this. This is what happens. You get complacent when you're not your best, when you underestimate an opponent, just because they're not a Champions League team. You underestimate them, then they'll come and bite you. Because this this is their version of a Champions League game. Is playing us. They're playing a Champions League team, which is us. We are a Champions League team.
Yep, totally agree.
Yeah, so I look at this and just go, there's a few things I want to point out from a tactical perspective with us. When have you seen Ange's team at Celtic go to 3 at the back and 2 strikers up front together?
The last time was that's it. Away to St Johnstone when we had so many injuries. That was the last time, and probably the only time I can remember.
Exactly. So the fact that we've had to match the same tactical 3 at the back, 5 in the midfield, 2 up front, and then trying to chase this game shows how well they were playing, and it took us out of our game. Now, another thing I want to touch on is looking at the starting lineup. We saw you had Moy, Turnbull, and McGregor in the midfield. Now, Moy and Turnbull are pretty slow. And how slow was our midfield in the first half?
Mm-hmm.
That was something that a big thing that I found, and it's made it hard for us to get into a rhythm. In the second half, we brought all those guys on, changed it, and we started pumping through all that information, like all the movement, get the speed up and that, and we didn't really get to where we needed to be. I think the first half took us out of our rhythm way too much.
Yeah. We said at halftime, all the stuff that wasn't going for us. We weren't. The passes were inaccurate. Even when they were making the man, they were slowing the game down. There was a lack of drive in midfield. McGregor looked awkward where he was playing. The front three, we weren't playing the channels. The front three were isolated. Maeda was just having a poor game.
Yeah.
Bada wasn't getting on the ball. Like it was all these things, like players slipping. It was just a whole confluence of circumstances. And then 2 headers, and the keeper Joe Hart has no other saves to make. So what can you do?
I think the first goal shook us. I think we were all pretty shocked because I wouldn't say we controlled the game up to that point, but we were kind of on the front foot to an extent. And then the goal went in, and I think we were all shocked. I think the players seemed a bit shocked, and it was just a bit at that point a bit scrambling. They completely had turned off and not seen it coming, and then at that point it was a struggle. It was an uphill battle. I really don't know what alternative there is, but I don't think that those like chips over the defense, the Mirren defense for Kyogo or Giakoumakis or Abada or whoever to run onto will work in at all. We did them a few times. I think we sort of stopped doing them in the second half, or if I can remember correctly. But they weren't working, especially from Taylor and Ralston and stuff. It just but I don't really. I don't have an idea of what else you can do because you can hardly play through a 5-man defense, or parking about, or when you're getting swamped by 3 players around you. What on earth are you supposed to do at that point? But
back in the Martin O'Neill days, it was get a set piece and put Bobo Baldy up front. That was what we would do, and
we don't really
we've been good enough to not need to rely on. Saying rely on it, we have done it this year. The first goal against Aberdeen was a Stephen Welsh header. We had Moritz Jens score a header to get us up from 1 each against Ross County. So look, we have actually needed to do that. I don't know if needed is the right word, but we have actually been doing that at some point in this season, and it's not something you want to rely on because it's a low percentage thing. But the games like today are the sort of ones where that's what you need, really, isn't it?
Yeah, you do.
As long as we learn from it, that's the thing. As long as we learn from it.
Yes, but that's, and I think if there's ever going to be a catchphrase of today, it's humbling is the right word. Just puts in a bit of perspective. Reminds us that all of our opponents need to be respected and not just a given that we were going to beat them and beat them well. We had to actually work for it. Especially me. I mean, we said beforehand, I thought it was going to be we were going to win by 4 and all that, and so it's you take it on the chin as people have said, and we just remember and we move on to the next.
It was. Is there going to be a chat of the strip being cursed now as well? What was the one we had before that was cursed?
It's already happening in the comments, yeah. People are saying never wear it again. And for me, I'm like, I think that's irrelevant. As we said earlier on, not good enough. Not a single player was up to speed today. The lineup didn't work. We were just at the races. Like, I'm not fanboying Ange or anything like that. As Australian, it's just not good enough.
Yeah.
But we've got to learn from it. We've got to cop it on the chin, as we've said, and take this international break and get on with it and hit the ground running when we come back from it. We're still on top of the league. It's frustrating, but it is what it is. Like, nothing's going to change it now. Us sitting here talking, saying, we've got to sub this player out and not do this and that. We've got to just talk on what happened. It wasn't good enough. So
I'm quite happy for us to start calling that grey kit cursed because I don't really want to see it again. It wasn't very aesthetically pleasing. So any other, that's fine with me. Bring back Sean's top. That's the cracking one.
The Bumblebee. Yeah,
I want to see the Bumblebee again. Well, like the old school ones.
Yeah, and what's our other away strip this year? It's
the pinstripes.
It's pinstripe.
Pinstripe. And the thing.
Oh, come on! That's a cracking top.
You can't wear that against St Mirren though.
Can't wear it against St Mirren now.
Because not just their home, but their away is all black.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and we'll have to wear the grey one against Hibs as well.
Gross.
And Kilmarnock, we have to wear against Kilmarnock. Yep, we'll have to wear against Kilmarnock. Because these guys all wear anyone that's got white in their top, we're gonna have to wear this grey strip. So expect to see it at least another 4 or 5 times this year. Unless remember that time we played Hibs a few years back and they had to roll out an away kit from the previous season because every away kit was green, or all 3 strips were green.
That was a bit embarrassing. Don't really want to see that again. We went back to the black one, didn't we? That was an amazing third kit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So I'll bring up a few more comments again, and we'll go from there. But like we got this one here. Give Saints their due. Ange got it wrong today. Hopefully not a mistake he'll make again. More too slow going forward. I think that's a valid point there. And then we got a few others here. So Strange Love the Doctor. No urgency, imagination, tempo, or aggression today. Not good enough in this game, Celtic, but St Mirren were garbage. I don't think St Mirren were garbage. I think they out-executed us today.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think they were garbage either. I think they had a lot more fight and verve than we did, and their game plan was not a beautiful football game plan, and but that was their game plan, and they executed it perfectly, and it worked for them.
It doesn't need to be beautiful for them. It just needs to work, and it did.
Yeah,
we underestimated St Mirren. End of. We move on. It's that simple. Lanky 67.
it was 37 games. Is that right? 37 games undefeated.
38, I think. 37.
38.
38.
Oh, sorry, yeah, because there was 32 last year and then 6 this year. So yeah, 38 games undefeated. That's the second longest ever. The only one that was longer than that was the 69 games for Brendan Rodgers. So that'll go in the record books as the second longest ever. And that's 38 games is literally a full season of games. Like that's actually a full, like, yeah, it wasn't.
Oh no,
we
lost one game in a whole season. Oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, but that's part of being a Celtic fan, though, isn't it? But that's what we expect. We expect
to win every game
and win well, right? So it's not just
And you'll get the comments back of that as well, John. We expect to win every game. We should look at our budgets. That's always the next part of the comment compared to these teams. Blah blah blah. Yeah, we get it.
But we're not entitled. But Christ, we can have an off day. We can have a few off days.
A 2-0. The only difference for a 2-0 defeat for us and a 0-0 draw, the only difference is if we lose 2-0, we complain about bad finishing and bad defending. Whereas if we draw 0-0, we only complain about bad finishing. That's literally the only difference.
Spot on. Couple more comments coming here. Lanky 67. It goes to show if we play Kelmac in the 8 role, we don't play well. When Kelmac's in the 6, the team plays well. Saw that in the second half. Yep, I'd agree on that.
But again, I'm going to go back to that Ross County game where Aaron Moy was pretty much man of the match in that number 6 role. Yeah. So
I think he just had an off day today.
There's a reason nobody minded before the game. We're all got a PhD in hindsight, but nobody was minded before the game about that selection.
Yep.
That's definitely where the problem was in the first half. But if anyone, nobody called it before the game, so I'm not giving anyone credit for that one. And I'm not having people say, "Oh, sack Ange," or whatever silly comments or I don't know, whatever, right? Like nobody disagreed with the selection before the game. It's easy to say it was wrong in hindsight, which we all are saying, but nobody called it before.
So here's a comment. It was like the manager said on Sky, the entire team lacked it in every aspect today. So even Andrews is openly saying that we weren't with it today. So yeah, that's what it is. Now I'll bring up a couple of
honest.
Yeah.
He usually calls it right. In the immediate post match, he tends to temper things a little bit in the sense that like he'll kind of talk things down or like talk a defeat up or talk a victory down, like try and level things out a little bit. But you'll actually find maybe in a day or two you'll get a more frank output from him. Like he doesn't say too much post match. He kind of tends to try and just calm things. So I'd be interested to hear what he has to say on Monday or Tuesday. And I'm interested to know if these players are actually going to have a match review before they go off on the international break.
Depends when they got to fly out, but how many guys are off on break?
Oh, not sure. Quite a lot, I'd imagine. We've got a lot of internationals.
Well,
Got to
Carter
say at
Vickers
least.
won't be going because he's out for weeks. Starfelt's still injured, so you'd think he wouldn't be called up. So the Japanese boys will be away, the three of them, you'd think, and that's about it.
Well, is Australia, is Moy called up for Australia? I don't know.
Yeah, Moy got called
Yeah,
up.
Moy was, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he'll be gone. McGregor will be gone. O'Reilly will be gone. Hatate, Maeda, Kyogo,
I don't think
Giacomakis,
I don't think O'Reilly got called
Bada.
up for Denmark.
They not 21s.
Yeah, maybe the 21s. Yeah, but not the men's national.
Taylor's called up. It's easier to list the players that aren't getting called up. Jens will still be here. Welsh will still be here. Steve Clark was at the game today. Welsh will not be getting a call up for Scotland anytime soon.
Yeah,
Yeah. But Ralston, well, though, Ralston, he'll still be in the Scotland team, I reckon. Yeah.
All right, let's bring up a couple more. So the doom mongering in the chat, an inexplicable performance that happens to good teams sometimes. There you go. That's probably the last one there that I think needs to bring up. Yep, we had a bad day at the office. We roll with it, we get on with it, and off we go.
happens to the best teams.
Today it was us. Sad.
Exactly. So
But
we'll finish off with commenting from Red Scotland. Who are these three? Is this ACSOM? Now, with this one, Red, what we have is Celtic Down Under, which is the three of us. We have a podcast goes out every Wednesday on our YouTube channel and on the podcast apps. We have partnered up with ACSOM. So on match day coverage during the season, we're getting involved with that. So today, Paul asked us to jump on and do the match coverage. It hasn't been a great result for us to do that the first time with the three of us on here, but it's going to happen a few times during the season where we'll be on, or one of us will be on most weeks. So yeah, that's what that's all about. So yeah, if
get
you
used to these beautiful faces.
you'll get used to knowing us, listening to us anyway. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Yeah, wish the result went a different way, but we get on with it and we never stop. So a couple of weeks we'll be back. Hail, hail, everyone.
Hell.
Hell.